What's up guys, my name's Brandon and Apple just released iOS 14.2 Beta 1 just one day after the big public release of iOS 14 yesterday. So this of course is a surprising release, not only because Apple skipped 14.1, but also because it came out around 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on a Thursday, which is an extremely rare time and day for Apple to release a beta. Now, since I know a lot of people will ask, why did Apple skip iOS 14.1 and jump right to iOS 14.2 Beta 1? And I know you guys are probably wondering, why didn't they just release a 14.0.1 instead? So let me try to clear some things up with what I think happened. So I think that Apple skipped 14.1 because that's likely being saved for the iPhone 12. We heard rumors about this. We heard rumors that the iPhone 12 is going to ship with 14.1 since they got delayed. So Apple might just release 14.1 after the October event when the new iPhones are announced, or they could pull something strange and have iOS 14.1 just be a firmware strictly for the iPhone 12s, and we on our phones currently just don't get 14.1 at all. Now, I see that as being the least likely, but I wouldn't put it past Apple to do something strange. They've been throwing a lot of curveballs our way. Today is another example of a curveball they're throwing our way. So it's really hard to say, but that is my guess, is that 14.1 is being saved for the iPhone 12 and has something to do with the iPhone 12, and that's why we got 14.2 Beta 1 today. And of course, they did not release a 14.0.x, like a 14.0.1, because those are usually not beta tested. Those are usually released as a final version, as kind of just a supplemental bug fix update. So we'll probably see one of those later this month, but we'll talk more about, what we can expect in the future near the end of this video. But anyways, let's discuss iOS 14.2 Beta 1 and take a look at the new changes, talk about the performance, the battery life, and more. So starting off with the size of this update, you can see here from the final official release of iOS 14.0, 14.2 came in at almost 5 gigabytes on my iPhone 11 Pro Max, and it was about the same, a little bit less on my iPhone 11 Pro here. So you can expect a very large download for iOS 14.2 Beta 1. And if we go ahead and check out the build number for this update, go to Settings, General, About, 14.2, you can see the build there is 18B5052H. So we do have an H at the end of the build number, which indicates we will be seeing multiple betas as expected. And if we scroll down a little bit further to the modem firmware, you can see that we do also get an update to the modem firmware finally. So it went from 2.00.01 to 2.01.01. So if you were having connectivity issues, those may be solved in this update. All right, so now let's take a look at what has changed here in iOS 14.2 compared to 14.0. And I'll just say right off the bat that this update is mainly geared towards music fixes and music tweaks. So there are a lot of changes to not just the music application, but also like the widgets and the control center platters and things like that. So let's go ahead and talk about those. But first, let's talk about the new control center toggle introduced here in iOS 14.2. And this is a music recognition toggle. And yes, that is Shazam. So if we go into our settings and then go to Control Center, you will see that we have a new toggle here for music recognition. Of course, it's not in there by default. It will be right down here somewhere. You will see the blue Shazam icon right there. Go ahead and tap on that, and we do have music recognition now in our Control Center. And what this does is, of course, if it hears music being played in the background, it will actually detect the song and display it as a pop-up. So let me give you guys an example. So we'll simply enable it by clicking on the little toggle right there. And up top, you can see it gives us the alert that Shazam music recognition is on, as you can see right there. And then it will be running in the background, and you can see that by the little orange dot right there. And actually through my testing, I found that there is not a timeout phase. So it's gonna run in the background until it hears music. So let me just go ahead and play the song and show you guys how it works. And you can see there that it recognized the music, and it shows it's Ride With Me by Pink Sweat. And if you tap on that, it will take you to the Shazam website right there. And then you can click on Listen on Apple Music if it's available, and it will take you right to that page, which is really convenient and really nice. Now you do have to turn this back on after it detects one song, so you can only do one song at a time before you have to re-enable the toggle or just re-click the toggle to find a new song. And like I said, there is no timeout, which is actually pretty interesting since this does use the microphone in the background. I would think that there would be like a minute or two timeout, and maybe that'll be fixed in a future version. But so far I noticed after like 5 to 10 minutes that it was still on, even though it did not detect any music. So hopefully we get some sort of timeout feature in the future. But I do really like this feature. I think it's very convenient, especially if you go into stores. I know a lot of times people go into stores and hear a song, playing in like Target or something like that, and they want to know what song it is. So now all you have to do is simply tap this in your control center, and then boom, it shows you the song that was playing, and then you can, view it on Apple Music and save it to your playlist or whatever you want to do. So really like this feature, really great implementation here of Shazam and the control center. Now, if we're not playing any music and we go to the control center right here, now when it says not playing, if we haptic press on that, you can see now we actually get suggestions of music we might want to play. So it looks like it's going to be like recently played music, and you can actually scroll down as well. So you can definitely tell this is a beta because we have some blank squares here, but this is actually a really cool idea as well. And since there's a little music icon down there, it makes me think that this isn't just for Apple Music. So we may see things like, maybe a show that you're watching in Apple TV or something like that. Those may show up here as well, since we do have that little icon in the bottom right corner. So this is a nice little addition to the platter here inside of the control center. You also notice that this little button down here has changed as well. So just to see the amount of differences, you can see iOS 14.0 on the left, 14.2 on the right. So not only do we have those new suggestions to play, or the recently played right there, but also we have this little button down here, which looks different than this over here on the left. I'm not sure which one I prefer yet. When you tap on this, of course, it does pull up this view right here instead of just them being, stacked on top of each other here in 14.0. So I do kind of like that. And also you can see the play button and the volume rocker here, the volume controls, and the previous and next buttons right there are different as well. So pretty much everything in this now playing platter or widget have changed in 14.2, including the little AirPlay icon right there on the right. You can see over here where it was on iOS 14.0. And when you tap on that, you can see even that has changed as well. So speakers and TV is bigger now. It's more bold and pronounced. And the little check mark there is a little bit thinner than it was on 14.0. And also you can see where the play button is on 14.0 versus where it is here on 14.2. So pretty much everything has changed in this platter, this now playing platter in 14.2. And the changes continue on the lock screen. So pretty much everything on the lock screen is different as well, just like it was in the control center platter. So you can see here, first off, we have more of a flat look. It's not as translucent as it was in iOS 14.0. The controls, the music controls are different as well. The volume slider there is a little bit bigger and easier to move than it was in iOS 14.0. You can see there the slider. And then also the AirPlay icon is more blended in to the card right here than it was in 14.0, where it was just, kind of big and you could tell it was there. It blends in more here on 14.2, which I like. Of course, when you tap on that, you get a faster animation and just that overall different look that we just looked at. And then also you'll notice that the music icon is in the bottom right corner as well. And also I keep noticing these differences. You can see where it shows the time playing. It actually doesn't show the beginning and the end anymore as it does on iOS 14.0. It says 2:04, into the song and 1:04 remaining. Now in 14.2, it just shows where you're at in the song. So if you start playing, I wonder if it shows it. So no, it just shows where you're at in the song and doesn't show how much time is left. Also, if you go into the now playing screen and you go into the music queue right here, and if you have autoplay enabled, which is that infinity sign right there, which is a new feature in iOS 14 that I love, if you scroll down to where autoplay starts, you will see a difference here. So it's a different shade. I don't know if you can tell on camera, but we have a slightly different shade in the background compared to what it was before. And you can see it says autoplay real big up top and bold versus just saying autoplaying similar music right there and playing next. So it says autoplay, similar music will keep playing. So a more obvious description there, and it actually shows that that is autoplay right there instead of just saying playing next. And also you'll notice that in iOS 14.0, the shuffle, repeat, and autoplay buttons kind of followed down there. But in iOS 14.2, they're just stuck at the top right there, which I actually like better. Now, another thing I noticed in iOS 14.2 is that you no longer get that annoying pop-up when your AirPods are connected like you do in 14.0. So I've seen a couple people talk to me about this on Twitter as well, and it's something I've faced as well that I was going to talk about in my follow-up video. But basically in iOS 14.0, if you had your AirPods in and you locked your device and then unlocked it again, it would show that your AirPods are connected and this little pop-up up top every single time. So that was pretty annoying, and I can confirm that it does not happen in iOS 14.2, thankfully. Now, as far as performance goes, performance feels great so far. I've really had no bugs or no lockups or any lag whatsoever. I've also noticed that if I go into my settings and go to accessibility, go to touch, and then down to back tap. When I go into double or triple tap right here, there's no lag. So in iOS 14.0 on every device really, I had a little bit of a hang up there for like a second or two before it actually showed me the contents of double or triple tap. So I don't have that lag anymore here in 14.2. But other than that, it's really hard to tell. I've just installed this, about an hour and a half ago. So it's hard to tell, but performance so far feels really good. I did also run a Geekbench score here as well. So if we go to the history, you will see the Geekbench score there compared to 14.0. So we got a 1335 and a 3352. So slightly lower than iOS 14.0. But of course, as always, these don't tell the full story. And plus, I ran this pretty soon after installing the update, so not everything was able to re-index. So I'm sure it will score higher if I were to do a Geekbench test tomorrow. But nonetheless, performance is fine here in 14.2 so far, but of course I will have a follow-up video coming at some point next week to let you guys know if performance is still good after installing it and having it running for at least a few days. And as far as battery life goes, I cannot comment on battery life yet, but you might see an improvement to battery life in 14.2. Since it is a point update, a big point update, there is a possibility of seeing improved battery life if you were having battery drain issues in 14.0. But of course, it's too early to tell if battery life has for sure gotten worse or better. So I will let you guys know how the battery life is in 14.2 in my follow-up video, once again, after I've used it for a few days. And then finally, what can we expect next? So there are a lot of questions now, and I think that the next thing we'll see get released publicly is going to be a 14.0.1. So I think 14.0.1 is very possible to come out within the last week of September. So maybe next week or maybe the final week, the week of the 28th. I think a 14.0.1 is very, very possible in September still, or maybe even early October. And I think that 14.1 is likely to be released with the iPhone 12 or after the iPhone 12 event, which is sometime in October. We still don't know exactly when in October, but we can probably expect 14.1 at some point in October. And 14.2, since it was released on September 17th, I would think that the beta would last a month. So I would think that would also come out in October as well, on maybe, October 15th, I guess would be a month, but it's really hard to say. So 14.2 could be, dragged out a little bit and maybe released, the last week of October or early November at the latest. But I don't know if I can see that happening. So I think that 14.1 and 14.2 will be released in October. But again, it's really hard to tell. Apple loves throwing curveballs our way. And that's why you guys subscribe to my channel, because you really never know what to expect. And I'll bring you these videos informing you and letting you guys know when something is released and when we can expect certain things as well. And of course, if you guys want to see exactly when something comes out, or if you want to see any kind of updated thoughts on when I think something could be released, make sure you guys are following me over on Twitter. That link, as always, is down in the description below. So yeah, guys, that is iOS 14.2 Beta 1, a major focus on music in this update, and we'll see what future betas hold, and maybe we'll make sense of this whole crazy release schedule that Apple is putting us on sometime soon. But anyways, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, I would appreciate if you gave it a thumbs up, and of course make sure you guys do subscribe for future iOS 14 content. But anyways guys, thanks again for watching, and I'll see you soon.